Thank you, Representative Exum. The House will come to order. Joining us to lead the pledge are Representative Mollica's beautiful children, Gabriella Mollica from Studio School, Logan Mollica from STEM Lab, and Autumn Mollica from Malley Drive Preschool, North Glen, Colorado. You ready? Do you want to take pictures over here?
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Red, white, and blue, we salute you.
Mr. Shi will please call the roll.
Representatives Amabile, Bacon,
Here.
Baisley, Benavides, Burnett, Byrd, Bockenfeld, Basenecker, Bradfield. Representative Bradfield is excused. Caraveo, Carver, Catlin, Cutter, Doherty, Duran, Esgar,
Happy Friday.
Exum, Froelich, Geithner, Gonzalez Gutierrez, Gray, Hanks is excused. Herod, Representative Herod is excused. Holtorf, Hooton, Representative Hooton is excused. Judah, Kennedy, Kipp, present. Larson, Lindsay, Lontine,
Here.
Luck. Luck is present. Lynch, McCluskey, McCormick, McKean,
47.
McLaughlin, Michelson Janae, Mullica, Neville, Ortiz, Pelton, Pico, Ransom, Rich is excused. Ricks, Representative Ricks is excused. Roberts, Sandridge, Sirota, Snyder, Soper,
Here.
Sullivan, Tipper, Titone, Valdez A. Rep A Valdez is excused. Valdez D. Van Beber, Van Winkle, Weissman, Will,
Here.
Williams,
Here.
he's here. Woodrow, Woog, Young, Representative Young. Oh, and Mr. Speaker.
Representative Holtorf. With 60 present and 5 excused, we have a quorum. Representative Holtorf.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Journal of Thursday, March 24th, 2022. No, this is not a WWE cage match. This is the House of Representatives. Be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
Minority Leader McKeon.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I would request a conceptual amendment to call it the best darn journal ever.
Wow, you know what? I'll accept that. I'll accept that. Members, it's Friday. That was a very great reading of that motion, Representative Holtorf. The motion before us is the adoption of the journal as corrected by the Chief Clerk. All those in favor say aye. Aye! Yeah, that's pretty good. All those opposed say no.
No!
The ayes have it. The motion's approved.
Are you ready to rumble?
Announcements and introductions. Representative Van Beber.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As we end Ag Week, we all have a connection some way, somehow, to agriculture. And so I wanted to, if with your permission, just read a quick thing. You're otherwise occupied, so I will do it anyway. All right. So, my connection is my father. He gave me a love of the land that I bear in my bones through and through. And so I want to share this poem with you. My father is a farmer. His heart is in the soil. It's there he finds his solace among the grimy toil. He plants the seed in springtime, the corn, the beans, the hay. He prays that God will bless it. A harvest, Lord, I pray. He tills and cultivates it, provides the most tender care, believes that come October he'll reap a harvest fair. Blue skies are his cathedral, a tractor his altar of prayer. God meets him in the cornfields. They have communion there. My father is a farmer, that's all he'll ever be. The values that the land taught him, he handed down to me. I love my farmer father. I'm thankful that he's mine. I pray that God will bless him today and for all time. So thanks for helping us all celebrate Ag Week, because we do love our farmers and ranchers who help us feed the world.
Thank you, Representative Van Beber. Further announcements and or introductions. Representative Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is my final session here in the House, and I won't be coming back again to this floor next year. So I guarantee that I don't veer off into a policy that may have some people might find inappropriate and have to be gavelled down. This will be the last time that I will announce that it's been 505 Fridays since my son Alex was murdered in the Aurora Theater massacre, along with 11 others, while he celebrated his 27th birthday on July 20th, 2012.
Thank you, Representative Sullivan. Further announcements and introductions. Seeing none, the next order of business is third reading of bills. Final passage. Great. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1004.
House Bill 1004 by Representatives Ortiz and Young, also Senators Fields and Colker, concerning a transfer from the general fund to the licensing service cash fund.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez, and then Representative Bockenfeld.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 1004 on third reading and final passage.
Representative Bockenfeld.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
Honor to serve with you too, Representative Bockenfeld.
I ask for a no vote on House Bill 1004. We raise a fee 1 year, and then the next year we reduce that same fee during an election year, and we call it a cut to the fee. Ask for a no vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1004? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1004 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. For those participating online, Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Will, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Neville, how do you vote? You can only vote one time, Representative Neville, however you do it. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Lantin, how do you vote? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Representative Lantin votes yes. Representative Sirota, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Sirota votes yes. Representative Bacon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Bacon votes yes. Please close the machine. With 38 aye votes, 23 no votes, and 4 excused, House Bill 1004 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Majority Leader Escar, co-sponsor. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of House Bill 1276.
House Bill 1276 by Representatives Kipp and Exum, also Senator Moreno, concerning the continuation of the Second Chance Scholarship Program and in connection therewith, implementing the recommendation contained in the 2021 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies to sunset the program.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 1276 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1276 on third reading and final passage. See no further discussion. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Williams votes yes. Representative Will, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Will votes yes. Representative Neville, how do you vote? Representative Neville votes yes. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Lantin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Lantin votes yes. Representative Sirota, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Sirota votes yes. Representative Bacon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Bacon votes yes. Please close the machine. With 61 aye votes, 0 no votes, and 4 excused, House Bill 1276 is adopted. Co-sponsors. I do think I could update the remote voting regulations that you can't be online if you're in the room, but you can do that. I think you can. It's working. Oh, sorry. Majority Leader Escar, Representative Bacon, co-sponsor. Sorry. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of Senate Bill 3.
Senate Bill 3 by Senators Buckner and Donovan, also Representatives Mullica and Exum, concerning permitting community college to offer a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing to certain students.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move Senate Bill 3 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 3 on third reading and final passage. See no further discussion. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Williams votes yes. Representative Will, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Will votes yes. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Lantin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Lantin votes yes. Representative Sirota, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Sirota votes yes. Representative Bacon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Bacon votes yes. Please close the machine. With 61 aye votes, 0 no votes, and 4 excused, Senate Bill 3 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Representative Lontine, Bacon, Majority Leader Escar, co-sponsor. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of Senate Bill 121.
Senate Bill 121 by Senators Zenzinger and Simpson, also Representatives Rich and McLaughlin, concerning increasing the amount of tuition revenues pledged by an institution of higher education.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move Senate Bill 121 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 121 on third reading and final passage. See no further discussion. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Will, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Will votes yes. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Lontine, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Lontine votes yes. Representative Sirota, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Sirota votes yes. Representative Bacon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Bacon votes yes. Please close the machine. With 55 aye votes, 6 no votes, and 4 excused, Senate Bill 121 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Representative Lontine, co-sponsor. Representative Sirota, co-sponsor. Representative Bacon, co-sponsor. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of the House Bill 1157.
House Bill 1157 by Representatives McCormick and Titone, also Senator Hawkes Lewis, concerning the utilization of demographic health data by the Department of Public Health and Environment to address health inequities and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 1157 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1157 on third reading and final passage. See no further discussion. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Will, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Will votes no. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Lontine, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Lontine votes yes. Representative Sirota, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Sirota votes yes. Representative Bacon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Bacon votes yes. Please close the machine. With 39 aye votes, 22 no votes, and 4 excused, House Bill 1157 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Majority Leader Escar, Representative Bacon, Representative Sirota, Representative Lontine, co-sponsor. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1234.
House Bill 1234 by Representatives Bacon and Michelson Janae, also Senator Rodriguez, concerning establishing a preventing identity-based violence grant program and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 1234 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1234 on third reading and final passage. See no further discussion. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Will, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Will votes no. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Lontine, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Lontine votes yes. Representative Sirota, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Sirota votes yes. Representative Bacon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Bacon votes yes. Young. Please close the machine. With 39 aye votes, 22 no votes, and 4 excused, House Bill 1234 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Representative Sirota Lantine, co-sponsor. Majority Leader Escar, co-sponsor. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1292.
House Bill 1292 by Representative Lindsay, also Senator Hawkes Lewis, concerning expanding the use of money in the state dental loan repayment fund to include oral health programs administered by the Department of Public Health and Environment.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 1292 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is not to send this back to seconds or anything like that. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Okay. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that we send this bill back to second reading. Just kidding. I withdraw my motion.
All right. This is Representative Lindsay's first bill. You can see by all the trophies on our desk. See no further discussion. The real motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1292 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Will, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Will votes yes. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Lantine, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Lantine votes yes. Representative Sirota, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Sirota votes yes. Representative Bacon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Bacon votes yes. Please close the machine. With 54 aye votes, 7 no votes, and 4 excused, House Bill 1292 is adopted. Congratulations, Representative Lindsay. Co-sponsors. Majority Leader Escar, Representative Sirota, Representative Lantine, Representative Bacon, co-sponsor. Minority Leader McKean.
Mr. Speaker, I would ask for reconsideration.
Representative Will, co-sponsor. Do we need to go into a recess or? Okay, very good. All right. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of House Bill 1213.
House Bill 1213 by Representatives Young and Pico, also Senator Buckner, concerning the continuation of the regulation of speech language pathologists by the by the Director of the Division of Professions and Occupations in the Department of Regulatory Agencies, and in connection therewith, implementing the recommendations in the Department's Sunset Review.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 1213 on third reading and final passage.
Representative Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I apologize. I missed the debate on this in second reading while working on something else. My vote on this bill is advised by a world-renowned speech pathologist who literally travels the world and works on groundbreaking research on speech pathology across languages. Whether it's in China or whether it's in Europe or whether it's in the United States. And her specialty is in helping children who are young, who are not learning how to speak at the rate that you would need to be able to be educated, be able to interact with the community and the world quickly enough. And she's a world-renowned.
I got a message that
Susan, if you don't mind muting.
After it got a wash, so I just wanted to touch base with you. And
I got time.
Thanks
But she's literally known throughout the world for her expertise in helping children who aren't learning how to speak fast enough to be able to, interact with people to help them interact. But when she was getting her education, she also spent a lot of time taking care of her kids, to the extent to which, when she was getting her education in this really specialized area, she worked at a yogurt shop called Frozen Easy Yogurt in Tucson, Arizona. So she was both learning her expertise that at that time, but also needed to get the money so much to take care of her kids that she was working at a yogurt shop while she was getting her expertise. Her name is Shelley Gray, and that's my mom, and I'd ask you for a yes vote.
Thank you, Representative Gray. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1213 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
Yes for Matt Gray.
Representative Williams votes yes. Representative Will, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Will votes yes. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Wantine, how do you vote?
Yes for Matt's mom.
Representative Wantine votes yes. Representative Sirota, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Sirota votes yes. Representative Bacon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Bacon votes yes. Please close the machine. With 56 aye votes, 6 no votes, and 3 excused, House Bill 1213 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Representative Wantine, Majority Leader Escar, co-sponsor. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1217.
House Bill 1217 by Representatives Benavides and Bockenfeld, also Senator Janal, concerning measures to prevent catalytic converter theft and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 1217 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1217 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Will, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Will votes yes. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Wantine, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Wantine votes yes. Representative Sirota, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Sirota votes yes. Representative Bacon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Bacon votes yes. Please close the machine. With 51 aye votes, 11 no votes, and 3 excused, House Bill 1217 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Representative Wantine, Majority Leader Escar, co-sponsor. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of Senate Bill 76.
Senate Bill 76 by Senator Holbert, also Representative Mullica, concerning complaints related to a person's authorization to practice an occupation for acts committed while the person is serving in an official capacity.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move Senate Bill 76 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 76 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Williams votes yes. Representative Will, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Will votes yes. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Wantine, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Wantine votes yes. Representative Sirota, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Sirota votes yes. Representative Bacon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Bacon votes yes. Please close the machine. With 60 aye votes, 2 no votes, and 3 excused, Senate Bill 76 is adopted. You can still co-sponsor. Co-sponsor. Representative Wantine, co-sponsor. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of the Senate Bill 105.
Senate Bill 105 by Senator Donovan, also Representative McLaughlin, concerning an annual address by tribal representatives to a joint session of the General Assembly.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move Senate Bill 105 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 105 on third reading and final passage. See no further discussion. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Will, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Will votes yes. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Lontine, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Lontine votes yes. Representative Sirota, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Sirota votes yes. Representative Bacon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Bacon votes yes. Lots of people. Representative A. Valdez. Representative Ricks. Amable. Please close machine. With 51 aye votes, 11 no votes, and 3 excused, Senate Bill 105 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Representative Lontine, Representative Bacon, co-sponsor. Majority Leader Escar, co-sponsor. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of the House Bill 1295.
House Bill 1295 by Representatives Sirota and Garnett, also Senators Buckner and Fenberg, concerning the Department of Early Childhood and in connection therewith establishing the duties of the Department of Early Childhood and the Executive Director of the Department relocating early childhood programs from the Department of Human Services and Education to the Department of Early Childhood, creating the Colorado Universal Preschool Program, and making and adjusting appropriations.
That's pretty good, Mr. Shebel. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 1295 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1295 on third reading and final passage. See no further discussion. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Will, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Will votes no. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Lontine, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Lontine votes yes. Representative Sirota, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Sirota votes yes. Representative Bacon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Bacon votes yes. Please close the machine. With 43 aye votes, 19 no votes, and 3 excused, House Bill 1295 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Representative Bacon, Representative Lontine, Majority Leader Escar, co-sponsor. Remarlo. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1272.
House Bill 1272 by Representatives Gonzalez Gutierrez and Benavides, also Senators Gonzalez and Rodriguez, concerning the repeal of the provisions awarding a defendant attorney fees in a tort action when the case is dismissed on motion of the defendant prior to trial.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move 12. Sorry. I move House Bill 1272 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1272 on third reading and final passage. See no further discussion. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Will, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Will votes no. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Lontine, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Lontine votes yes. Representative Sirota, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Sirota votes yes. Representative Bacon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Bacon votes yes. Please close the machine. With 37 aye votes, 25 no votes, and 3 excused, House Bill 1272 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Next order of business is general order, second reading of bills. Representative Caraveo. Members, you have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, Representative Caraveo will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee reports are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader, and the quote rule is relaxed. Madam Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 34 until the end of the calendar, second reading calendar.
Senate Bill 34 will be laid over to the end of the second reading of the second calendar. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1031.
House Bill 1031 by Representatives Titone and Ortiz, also Senators Zenzinger and Cook, concerning a requirement that a powered wheelchair manufacturer facilitate the repair of its powered wheelchairs by providing certain other persons with the resources needed to repair the manufacturer's powered wheelchairs.
Representative Ortiz.
Madam Chair, I move House Bill 221031.
To the bill. Representative Titone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. All right, members, we have House Bill 1031 here. This bill is the right to repair. What is the right to repair? We're focusing on wheelchairs, but the concept of right to repair in general is a concept that says that if you own something, you should have the right to be able to fix that. This bill here for powered wheelchairs specifically says that the manufacturer should supply any of the things that you would need for the repair. So that means documentation, parts, embedded software, firmware, and tools that are not available to the consumer to do those repairs. If you listen to the committee hearing, you would have heard plenty of people with different stories. We handed out a fact sheet about this. There's some examples of why this bill is needed. One of the first ones on the list here says, my joystick randomly turned off in August in trying to get my chair repaired. I was able to get a new joystick, but the repair company forgot to wire and attach it, and I have not yet received it. Luckily, I had a backup joystick and the wire that worked. So there's incidents like this. There's been an incident where someone's wire to their joystick came loose and they called for a repair, and the repair technicians took a long time to get out to repair this. Now, it was just a wire that needed to be soldered on, so they had a handyman who was able to put that back on, and it caused a lot of grief with that person to have this little soldered wire put back on because it was not an authorized repair. It wasn't something done by someone who was a qualified technician. They made all these different things up trying to say they avoided the warranty on the chair. That's not true, members. If you do, there are things protecting people from fixing their own stuff. The Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act, which is a federal law, protects people from losing their warranty if they fix it. That's why if you fix your car, you don't void the warranty on your car. This is an important bill, and it's a part of a two-part series that Representative Ortiz and I are running with House Bill 1290 that's going to help people be able to fix their wheelchairs. This part is about having the options to be able to fix their wheelchairs and have another way to do that. If the repair folks don't get to it fast enough, they'll have the parts and tools to get it fixed themselves. The other bill covers everybody who's on Medicaid. So these two bills really work in conjunction with each other. It's the people on Medicaid and everybody else. This is the everybody else bill. This is important to giving people the freedom to be able to fix their wheelchair as they need to. And I hope you vote yes on the bill.
Representative Ortiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm going to put a personal touch on this bill because I do remember the first time I saw my first wheelchair in the corner of my hospital room. And to be honest with you, I wanted nothing to do with it. I couldn't think of anything that was more anathema than the way I'd been living my life up to that point. You know, I was a 5-minute mile running, boxing, hard-charging combat aviator. But I realize now that those thoughts were representative of my internalized ableism and ignorance that came with this injury. Describing what my chair is for me now is difficult. Suffice it to say, it's freedom, safety, and health all in one. It's not just a means to get around. That makes them sound interchangeable like a pair of shoes. Let me tell you, they are not. They are custom measured and crafted pieces of equipment that are meant to preserve your shoulders based on your push, meant to support you from flopping over with custom measured backs or prevent pressure ulcers with your cushions. You might recall that that's how Christopher Reeves went down, was going septic from a pressure ulcer. So when they break, it's more than just your mobility. That can mean your life. And we saw that when we lost Ingracia Figueroa, a well-known disability activist that died from complications from injuries she sustained in July 2021 after her chair was destroyed by United Airlines. Folks,
Okay.
my question to you is this chair mine or not? And if I don't have the right to maintain and or repair my chair, then the answer is no. I depend on this, not just to get around, but for my health and my safety. For those reasons and more, I urge an aye vote on this bill.
Thank you, Representative Ortiz. Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and it's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you, Representative.
So, members, I rise with, I guess, the point where I hate to be in opposition, but I am in opposition, and I'm going to tell you why. I think it's very dangerous when you have a very technological piece of equipment, whether we're talking a powered wheelchair or an iPhone, that a consumer can go ahead and take that apart to make a repair, because if they make a faulty repair, they're voiding the warranty. And tied up into this, what happens if they make a repair that actually undermines the working of the entire machinery? Let's say that the faulty repair that the consumer actually does ends up ruining the entire wheelchair. Then a big question arises, is now insurance liable for paying for a brand new wheelchair in that particular case? I think that it's better to go through a licensed repair person who's been certified and authorized to make certain repairs, and that it's the warranty that's been placed on that individual that they will do the repair to such that it will meet the standard that the consumer expects. I just fear that there will be a lot of unintended consequences if we pass this bill, such as a lot of home repair people or a friend of a friend who may do something that's faulty. Into anecdotes, my parents have a hot tub, and they had a friend who's not an electrician. He did a wire job and completely short-circuited the entire hot tub, which meant that it was fully ruined. I do worry about that here, that there could actually be long-term ramifications that I think could be very unintended. I certainly like where the sponsors are coming from, but I certainly fear what could happen if we pass this. So I urge a no vote. Thank you.
Representative Tipper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we need to give consumers a little bit more credit, particularly consumers that buy consumer goods specific to their needs. When you talk about those mom and pops or those neighbors, those sound like small businesses. To me, it makes sense to let individuals take on that risk. When you're talking about wheelchairs, for example, sometimes these repairs can take 2 and 3 weeks when you have to wait for a particular repair. So it makes sense to me to let individuals control their destinies and take the risk that they deem appropriate in their particular circumstances. Vote yes on the bill.
Representative Weissman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And, there is language in the bill squarely addressing the concern about liability, and I think with good reason. Secondarily, I would point out that there's no mandate in this bill. Nobody has to access the documentation, make the kind of repairs. If somebody wants to go through an existing, more formalized pathway for repair, if it's timely, that option is still preserved. More fundamentally, I wanted to share something that I came across many, many years ago in sort of engaging with folks in the disability advocacy community, and that is the mantra or the foundation stone, nothing about us without us. What this bill is trying to do is create just a little bit more of an option for folks who need options. I wish that more people had been paying attention here when Rep. Ortiz said what he just said a few moments ago. I have seen my colleague from Arapahoe County move more legislation pertinent to folks living with disabilities in a year and a half than maybe I've seen collectively from the rest of this institution in the other years that I've been here. And I think that is laudable, that is important. I think that frankly we should give that some respect. believe me, I appreciate liability concerns. I'm on Judiciary Committee. I think that those are squarely addressed in the bill. I think this is about a little bit more in the way of an option, a little bit faster of a path to just get back to living the way that the rest of us take for granted. So respectfully, I differ with the statements put forth here by our colleague from Delta County, and I urge a yes vote.
Representative Cutter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you, my friend.
So we heard this bill in committee, members, and the testimony was incredibly moving. And really, I don't understand. This is such a common sense kind of thing. To me, this means the liberty to do what you want to do with your own property and to control your own life. One woman, for example, her husband was in a wheelchair, and I think they ordered skateboard wheels, if I recall correctly, for like $7 off of Amazon to fix this wheelchair, and she did it all by herself, and they are willing to take the risk to do that. Then they should be allowed to, to do that for themselves. They would have had to wait for months to get that repaired, and it was a matter of him being able to move around. So I urge an aye vote.
Representative Baisley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just thought it'd be worth pointing out that this is a correction of a symptom that is a consequence of overregulation. If just about every other device, so I'll take the one that's in my hand right now. If something goes awry with my iPhone, I call Apple and they say, okay, let's work with you on it over the phone right now. Let's get this thing fixed. And if it can't be resolved, they'll say, okay, go down to the local store and just swap it out for a new one. It's amazing what free enterprise will do. But when you overregulate an area, then you end up having to make all these tweaks. So yeah, the consequences to people that are in wheelchairs to be stuck without their wheelchair for weeks and even months, as we heard in testimony, is shameful. But the shame, I think, originates with those of us that continue to pile on regulations in the healthcare industry. We need to be cautious about that because it ends up hurting people like this in the long run. So just wanted to remind us, let's slow down and let free enterprise lift all boats.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm slightly confused as to where my colleague is on the bill, but I once again want to address some of the points that were made here. First of all, there's a reputation issue of the manufacturer, and that the manufacturer should have the opportunity to make those needed repairs because, quite frankly, it's their brand name that's on the product and their reputation that's on the line. And the ability to actually maintain their reputation of their product and of their trademark, of their brand, is very important. So that's an additional reason. On to the liability reason. I do know in the bill, and I read the liability part, so I appreciate my colleague from Aurora making those statements. But I do fear about the faulty repair and then when the product has been sold onto the secondary market, especially if the product is deemed still under warranty. Now we have an issue where it should have been within the manufacturer's line, but now all of a sudden we have a giant question mark about whether or not the manufacturer has to make a future repair under a different owner. And the provision in the bill does talk about, on page 8, that if anything is altering the original terms of the contract, that would be void. So I think the real question is, how does the original manufacturer know? And they don't know. That's kind of the issue. And then you have someone who makes a faulty repair, the wheelchair breaks down again. Now, all of a sudden, to be able to identify whether that was the manufacturer's fault or someone else's fault can be difficult to determine at that particular point in time. Because if it was an original defect, that's also something that we should know. And that would be something that the consumer could act on and could raise a lawsuit on, or at least a contractual dispute. So I still, once again, urge a no vote. There's a lot of unintended consequences that can arise out of this bill. Thank you.
Representative Taton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I appreciate the comments from my colleague from Delta County, but I do disagree with what he's saying. The warranty is not an issue. It's in the bill, and it's protected federally by the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act. Now, in respect to the secondary market for these wheelchairs, there is no secondary market for these wheelchairs. These wheelchairs are specifically made for the person that they have. It does not work for anybody else. If it did, that would be a crazy coincidence, because everybody who has a disability has a very specific need, and it's tailor-made for that person. So there's no secondary market. Don't need to worry about that. That's not a problem. Now, I will say that, we heard in testimony that some of the folks who, have bought these wheelchairs say that they cost anywhere from $35,000 to $50,000. Now, I mean, you could pay that much for a car. Do you feel like you own your car? Because, I do. I feel like I own my car, and I can do what I want with that car and make modifications and repairs and do that. So why are we treating these kinds of things that you pay for and spend a lot of money on that's very specific to that person? Then if they're willing to take any risk involved in making a simple repair, they should be able to do it, because it's the freedom to own your stuff. And there's monopolies on repair. The companies don't want anybody else to repair. They want specific people to repair it. They want to repair it themselves, and they want the monopoly to do it. They want, from the beginning when that product comes out the door to the minute that product is no longer in service and gets sent to the scrapyard, they want to have all the control over it, and they don't want you to have any control over it, because they make money on it every step of the way. We're giving free enterprise. I heard free enterprise being talked up here before. Free enterprise for small businesses to do repairs, for people to be able to do repairs, to save money, to save time, and being stuck in a chair or not being able to use that chair is detrimental to their health. So if they're able to fix it themselves faster than any repair can be made, you are helping their health. You are helping them avoid further medical costs, which is a burden on the system. So this helps out in so many different ways that the risks are not anywhere near the weight of all the benefits that this bill has. So I still urge you to have a yes vote on the bill.
Representative Ortiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just also want to back up what some of my amazing co-prime sponsors said. We're talking about wheelchairs. We're not talking about hot tubs. We're not talking about anything. I wish I could roll around in a hot tub, believe me. That would make this job more fun. But we are very specifically talking about wheelchair. And I do have to back her up when she says there's really not a secondary market. I mean, if anything, we are having to fight so hard for our primary chairs, and then maybe even a backup if we're lucky. Because I can tell you, I'm lucky in that I was injured in service, because the VA was really good about getting me a main wheelchair and a backup wheelchair. I can tell you a million stories about peers like Kevin Ogar, a CrossFit coach, that had to wait almost a year just to get fitted. And then when his main chair breaks, he's having to wait 6 months for it to get repaired. The right to repair, yes, it's about convenience, but it's also about health and safety. If these providers are forcing us to wait months for our chair to be repaired, then we should open the market to allow others that could do the repair just as well, or our care providers that could do the repairs just as well. I have backup parts that the VA gives me on parts that are regularly worn so that I can make those repairs myself, whether we're talking about seat backs, whether we're talking about brakes, whether we're talking about casters. These are items that we should have. Even recently, when I went on a family trip, I came back, and my axle, the main axle on my outdoor chair, and it was snowy during that time, broke. I had a backup part that wasn't the exact part, because if you know specifics, my chair has a camber on it so I don't slide all over the place. The axle that I replaced it with doesn't have a camber, but it got me through until the VA got the part a month and a half later. Folks, we're talking about months. That is death to some people living in a wheelchair. We have the right, or should have the right, to own our equipment, and part of owning that equipment that is literally our health and safety is having the right to repair that equipment. I urge an aye vote.
Mr. Assistant Minority Leader Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So members, I don't know, I've spoken about my mom up here a time or two. I've never seen my mother walk, actually. She's been in a wheelchair my entire life. And And as a kid, I used to do the repairs on her wheelchairs, from changing bushings to casters to axles to wiring harness for the joystick. Worked on the battery myself. I did all that. And so I can definitely sympathize with what we're trying to do here. Another point that I want to highlight is there is absolutely a secondary market for wheelchairs, because I've actually sold my mother's wheelchairs as she, one aged out and they was looking for an upgrade. So I can personally attest to selling a wheelchair, electric and manual wheelchair, and manual wheelchairs. So there is a secondary market, and you may hear another argument about that here in a minute. But since we're talking about wheelchairs, in the bill, on page 2, it has a short title, and the short title of this Part 14 is the Consumer Repair Bill of Rights Act. So this bill is specific to wheelchairs, and I feel that that short title is just a little too broad. So I move L001, and I ask that it be displayed.
The amendment has been properly moved. Let's wait for it to be displayed. And it is displayed. Go ahead, Representative.
Thank you, members. Members, what L001 does is it simply quantifies what type of repair or right to repair act this is. And if this bill is limited in its scope to simply wheelchairs, then it only makes sense that we narrow the short title and ensure that the word wheelchair is a part of it. So the way that it works, after consumer, we would insert the word wheelchair, so the short title would become Consumer Wheelchair Repair Bill of Rights Act. So it doesn't do anything other than narrows the scope of the bill. I think there is grave concern with maybe the broadness of this short title and what could be done in the future. And so, members, I would ask for your support. Let's make sure that when we're crafting policy, we craft policy that is narrow and it doesn't have these broader reaching pieces to it or elements to it. So, members, I would urge a yes vote on L001. It's a wheelchair bill. Let's go ahead and insert wheelchair into the short title.
Representative Tatone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And, that was the intention of the bill, and I appreciate the Assistant Minority Leader pointing that out, and I have no problem with the amendment.
Any further discussion on L001? Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L001 to House Bill 1031. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. L001 is adopted. Any further discussion on the bill? Representative Pico.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now, I want to rise and respond to something that was said a few minutes ago about there being no secondary market. And in the broader context, the right to repair. Everybody has a right to repair. You can go fix something yourself. I've known several people who have the same issues and have to be able to get around with a wheelchair, and I've helped them fix it. Quick check on eBay. There is most certainly a huge secondary market for wheelchairs and all the parts needed to fix them. So I don't have any problem with the issue that someone wants to be able to fix them. You certainly can. I would say that really, in reality, this bill is not needed, and I urge a no vote.
Representative Ortiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to address the statements that are being made about a secondary market. The secondary market that I see is for a lot of the hospital wheelchairs that aren't really custom fit or framed. Also, it depends on the disability you have. I know that a lot of paraplegics and quadriplegics will keep their backups to their backups because just in case, because the fact that we don't have the right to repair, the fact that providers can take months on end to get you the parts to repair your wheelchairs, it's better to have that 10-year-old backup in case something happens than try and make a little money off of it. I mean, the only individual that's really going to buy that is someone that doesn't have insurance, is being rejected by their insurance company. I'm not going to say that there is not any customized wheelchairs being sold, but I'm going to tell you that the majority of us paraplegics that live this life, and this isn't anecdotal like my brother, my sister, my mother, my father, me, and those of us that live in wheelchairs, we keep our chairs for as long as we can. Because of the problems with providers, because of the problems with repairs, this is a step in the right direction, giving us the right to truly own our health and safety. I urge an aye vote.
Any further discussion on House Bill 1031? Seeing none, the question before us is adoption of House Bill 1031. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1031 is passed. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1253.
House Bill 1253 by Representative Ortiz, also Senator Danielson, concerning the provision of adaptive equipment in rental motor vehicles.
Representative Ortiz.
Madam Chair, I move House Bill 1253 and the committee report.
To the committee report.
Okay, so the amendments that we added on the committee were one that was kind of a ledge deck and definitions that cited the legal precedents for the fact that car rental companies are legally obligated by ADA and other laws to make accommodations, hand controls. And the other one specifically tried to make sure that we were only talking about car rental companies. We're excluding peer-to-peer rentals. They operate differently. So that's going to be a separate bill in the future. It's Friday, I'm thinking about beer, sorry y'all. So it's the second bill in the future, and we wanted to make sure we weren't including U-Hauls and van rentals. This is specific to car rental companies. So that's what the two amendments did in committee. And I do have an amendment to the report that I would like to move. Yes. And I move amendment L007 to the committee report.
That has been properly moved. Let's wait for it to be displayed. And it is displayed. Continue, Representative Ortiz.
Great. So this was worked out with Enterprise Car Rental Company. I do want to give them a shout out because they've been very collaborative from the very beginning in working on this with me. So this is kind of to mirror what the Department of Justice decision is with them. So pretty much we want to make sure that we're setting up some time allowances, and really what my long-term goal is equitable access, okay? I mean, I would love to live in a world where I can get a car just as easily as any leg walker. But there's realities around installing it, there's realities around making sure that there's a mechanic there to install and making sure that you have the equipment on hand. So this mirrors the Department of Justice decision to kind of mirror reasonable access. This is something that Enterprise Car Rental Company and I worked on together. I am supportive of this amendment. I want to see what happens with the law, with this added on there. So I urge an aye vote.
Any further discussion on L007? Seeing none, the question before us is adoption of Amendment L007 to the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. L007 is adopted. Back to the committee report.
You heard the amendments that we made in committee. We had some compelling testimony. I urge an aye on the committee report.
Any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is adoption of the Transportation and Local Government Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Transportation and Local Government Committee report is adopted. To the bill.
So the reason this bill came about, I'm just going to give you guys a short version versus the entire testimony that I gave in committee. But coming to this injury, I have to admit that for the first couple weeks, there was a lot of me that wished I would have died in that crash. And really you have to understand why the desire was there. And the short answer is internalized ableism. When you go from being a 5-minute mile hard-charging combat aviator then to not even be able to sit up in bed under your own power, and you live in a world that's no longer made for you, part of you does not want to live in it. That's just a reality. And that's a reality that we face every day. And it took me a while to figure that out and to move past it and to realize that I needed to depend on my newly adopted tribe, which is a community that lives with a disability, to fight to change that. Because no individual, whether they are combat injured and coming back with a disability, or whether they were born this way, deserves to be made to feel like a second-class citizen. So what was happening with rental car companies is that you can't even reserve it online, your option, your hand controls. You have to call a separate but not equal customer service. It takes longer, and then there was no guarantee. Over half the time, regardless of what car rental company I rented with, the hand controls were not there. And believe me, I wish I could be like y'all and just jump in another vehicle. I don't care what vehicle it is. You can put me in a Mini Coupe. I don't care, as long as I get to drive away. But that's not how it works for us. On their website, they have a requirement of 24 to 48 hours. I would do it weeks in advance, and I would still show up. Just recently for Thanksgiving, I showed up to gather with family 2 days before my wife because she had work. I show up, and the vehicle does not have hand controls. And they were blaming me as if it was my fault. Well, did you do it right? Did you do everything right? This has happened so often that I recorded the entire conversation, and I will spare y'all playing it now with the Disability Reservation Services. They did not believe me and choose to try and remedy the situation until I played that for them. How many of you have ever had to do that? Nobody. So the bottom line of what this bill does is create a mandate that businesses should make rentable options for accessibility options available on their website. For crying out loud, you can rent ski options for your vehicle. Y'all can be seated. I appreciate it. But you can rent ski options for your vehicle. I mean, if you want to rock out to glam rock sounds of Twisted Sister, or maybe Lil Nas X is more your style, you can reserve Sirius XM on the website. And some car rental companies are already moving this way. Hertz has moved this way, and they were who I rented with. So they've made that change since Thanksgiving, by the way. So this is to try and make sure that we're allowed to rent online. This is trying to create greater transparency and accountability around that. Per the amendments, we're still making certain allowances for acts of God, or if you're trying to rent in a rural, smaller area, that they get more time to try and get the hand controls there. The amendment also makes sure that we're leaving out small mom and pop rental companies. If your fleet is less than 50, then you have a 4-year runway to implement this. If you're one of the bigger car rental companies, you have a 3-year runway to implement this. Folks, we were told by the IT team from Enterprise that they could do this in 8 months. The intent of this is to promote accessibility, doing the right thing without punishing businesses. I think a 3 and a 4-year runway do that. It gives them 8 months to implement it, and then it gives them 2+ years to work out all the bugs before we have an accountability piece that I think is critical. And why do I think it's critical is because ADA has been law for 30 years, folks, and this is still an issue. Clearly, we need an accountability piece. You saw it in the disability right to receive transplant bill that I worked across the aisle with amazing Representative Van Beber. You saw that in the disability rights law that I passed last year. Bottom line is the ADA is a great start, but it's not done, and this is going to bring everything a step in the right direction. We're working in collaboration with car rental companies, and for all those reasons and more, I urge an aye vote on this bill.
Representative Gray.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate this bill quite a bit. I really would just want to point out for everyone in the chamber the immense work that Representative Ortiz has done on this bill, because it's a very personal issue. He lives through something that nobody else in this room lives through, but has also done an immense stakeholding work in Transportation Local Government Committee and then afterwards to try to work with the companies that do this and to accommodate them. And that's the goal that we should all have. There's a lot of reason to have personal passion, and I can never imagine what he has gone through. But what he's also gone through is the stakeholding process of talking to the people who actually need to deliver this service and delivering it. And it's been just so incredibly professional and so incredibly effective that I couldn't encourage a yes vote on this more, because he said no to no one. He has worked with tons of people, notwithstanding the fact that it would be very easy to say, you don't understand where I'm coming from, and I'm just going to tell you what's going to happen. He's also sat with a ton of corporate folk and be like, look, here's how we get this done. And that's how we should do business around here. And it's been just really impressive, and I thought that was worth saying on the microphone.
Any further discussion? Representative Van Beber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was in committee and heard this bill, and it was originally a no vote. And as we heard from Representative Ortiz and the companies that are in conflict with this particular issue. I have to commend Representative Ortiz, first of all, for all of the things that he endures in sacrificing truly limb, not life, but limb for our nation. And he's right. For the rest of us in this room, we will never know what it means to sit in that chair and endure what he has to go through in order to live the basic kinds of things that we take for granted. He called me yesterday several times to talk about how we might make this better, how we might ensure that businesses in full faith and fidelity do what they say they're going to do, not with the heart of trying to ensure that more burden or regulatory issues cause them to lose money, but in the idea and the hope that they would do what they say they're advertising and complete the mission. He completed his mission. The least we can do is ensure that businesses ensure that when serving a community such as a disabled community, that they complete their mission as well. That if they advertise they're going to do this, that if they advertise that they're going to provide products and services, that we make that happen. I ask for a yes vote. Thank you.
Any further discussion on House Bill 1253? Seeing none, the question before us is adoption of House Bill 1253. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. 1253 is adopted. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of Senate Bill 34.
Senate Bill 34 by Senators Colker and Priola, also Representatives Byrd and Sandridge, concerning measures to counteract the filing of fraudulent business documents with the Secretary of State.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you, Representative.
I would like to move Amendment L006.
Would you like to move the bill first?
Move the bill, sorry. I move Senate Bill 34.
Very good. That is properly moved.
And I move Amendment L006.
All right. The amendment is properly moved. Let's wait for it to be displayed. And it is now displayed. Please continue, Representative Byrd.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So, members, what this amendment does, and I'll give you some background in just a moment, but this amendment requires that the Secretary of State have a statutory obligation to create a secure business filing plan, and that all filings that are made through the Secretary of State's website for businesses are to be made through the Secure Business Filing Program. The reason for this, here's the background. In 2020, over 6,372 known fraudulent filings were made in the Secretary of State system. In 2021, over 9,419 fraudulent entities were created. In 2022, we are on track for more than 10,000 fraudulent filings to be made with the Secretary of State's database. For this reason, our amendment will create that, or rather mandate that the Secretary of State have a statutory obligation to create a secure business filing plan, and that all business filings be made through this secure filing business plan. I ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion on the amendment? All right. Seeing none, the question before us is adoption of Amendment L006 to Senate Bill 34. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. L006 is adopted. To the bill. Representative Sandridge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just to give a brief synopsis of what this bill does, it's really simple. And I look back to some of my experience as a business owner. I had to file for a LLC associated with the Secretary of State. And I remember filing and understanding that there's some information there that I'm giving, some sensitive information, that could be used in the wrong way. And what we're seeing at the Secretary of State's office is foreign countries, bad actors using this information for business identity theft. So what this bill mostly does is it gives a way for victims of business identity theft to issue an official complaint and find a remedy associated with being a victim of business identity theft. As we all know, with the advent of technology, we have to change our way that we look at crime. With technology, the bad actors find new ways to commit crime. That's what they're doing associated with the internet. We're seeing it all the time. What this bill does, it updates how we, I guess, deal with certain crime. So it's a great bill. I ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Further discussion on Senate Bill 34? Seeing none, the question before us is adoption of Senate Bill 34. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 34 is adopted as amended. Madam Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
You have heard the motion. The committee will rise and report.
House will come back to order. Mr. Shebel, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee of the Whole begs leave to report as under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof and making the following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1031 is amended. 1253 is amended, passed on second reading in order and gross and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 34 is amended, passed on second reading in order, revised, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Representative Caraveo. Members, you've heard the motion. There are no amendments at the desk. See no further discussion. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote on the report of the Committee of the Whole. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Will, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Will votes no. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Montine, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Montine votes yes. Representative Sirota, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Sirota votes yes. Representative Bacon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Bacon votes yes.
Rep. Catlin.
Thank you.
No, we're voting on the couch.
Please close the machine. With 41 aye votes, 20 no votes, and 4 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe we are on consideration of resolutions.
Are we going through them, or do you want to move to one of them?
Yeah, I'd like to move to proceed out of order for immediate consideration of SJR 9.
Seeing no objection, we will proceed out of order for immediate consideration of Senate Joint Resolution 9. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to Senate Joint Resolution 9.
Senate Joint Resolution 9 by Senators Sonnenberg and Donovan, also Representatives McCormick and Catlin, concerning the designation of March 24, 2022 as Colorado Agriculture Day.
Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you too, Representative Catlin.
Find out. I move that the current...
I'm cool going there. You want to just move to that point?
I'm sure.
Do we have to move?
I move for the adoption of Senate Resolution 22009 and request that it be read at length.
SJR 009 is moved. Mr. Shebel.
Whereas Americans enjoy the safest, most abundant, and most affordable food supply in the world, thanks largely to the efficiency and productivity of America's farm and ranch families. And whereas the world must feed nearly 2 billion more people by 2050, challenging farmers and ranchers to increase production of food, feed, fiber, and fuel by more than 50%. And whereas today 98% of United States farms and ranches are operated by families, and each feeds an estimated 165 people annually, a dramatic increase from the 1960s when each farm could only feed 26 people. And whereas Americans spend less than 8.6% of their annual income on food, less than any other developed nation, while American farmers and ranchers receive on average only about 14.3 cents on every dollar spent on food. And whereas American farmers and ranchers are the most capable and responsible providers for the safety, health, and well-being of their livestock, and whereas agriculture ranks among the most important economic sectors in Colorado, supporting more than 195,000 jobs and generating an estimated $47 billion of economic activity annually, and whereas exports of Colorado food and agricultural products have increased fourfold since 2000 and reached an all-time high of $2.36 billion in 2021. And whereas Colorado agriculture contributes to national security not only by providing food and fiber, but also producing energy. And whereas Colorado recognizes and appreciates landowners whose livelihood depends upon the property they reside on, operate on, and care for as they work to provide basic necessities to all. And whereas leadership is vital to the viability of the agriculture industry and participants in programs like Future Farmers of America, 4-H, and the Colorado Agricultural Leadership Program help develop those leadership skills necessary to promote the agriculture and educate urban populations on the importance of agriculture in the world. And whereas Colorado's agriculture industry requires an adequate, reliable workforce in order to provide food from the field to the table. And whereas Colorado farms and ranches provide wildlife habitat, open space, and sites for innovative and sustainable farming practices that ensure the protection of state resources. And whereas Colorado's agricultural and aquacultural producers provide a diverse and valuable array of livestock and crops, including cattle, sheep, hogs, horses, goats, bison, elk, poultry and eggs, dairy products, millet, field corn, sweet corn, hemp, quinoa, wheat, hay, chilies, potatoes, barley, sorghum, sunflowers, dry beans, soybeans, onions, carrots, wine grapes, apples, cantaloupe, watermelon, peaches, numerous other fruits and vegetables, honey, greenhouse and nursery products, and fish. And whereas beyond food, feed, fiber, and fuel, farm products can be found in everyday items from medications to school supplies to musical instruments. And whereas Colorado's agriculturists employ sound animal husbandry practices, ensuring that livestock remain healthy, productive, and content. And whereas Colorado agriculture provides an estimated $67.5 million annually to support the state's wildlife. And whereas Colorado's farmers and ranchers are innovative entrepreneurs and business leaders who remain resilient in their dedication to the continued prosperity of the state's agricultural economy. And whereas the protection of private property and the rights of landowners who provide wholesome, safe food to Americans and others worldwide is essential. And whereas farmers and ranchers are critical to Colorado's agritourism, welcoming tourists from around the world and showing them all Colorado has to offer. And whereas losing agricultural land and water to other uses will result in overall negative impacts to the state's economy and a loss of food production vital to all Coloradans. And whereas the United States national security is stronger because farmers and ranchers provide more than enough food to keep this country from depending on other nations for sustenance. And whereas March 22nd is National Agriculture Day, the Agricultural Council of America encourages everyone to celebrate Agriculture Day for an entire week. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the 73rd General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, that we, the members of the Colorado General Assembly, proudly recognize and designate March 24th, 2022 to be Colorado Agriculture Day, in celebration of the many men and women who strengthen the nation's agricultural industry, promote a safe, high-quality, and sustainable food supply, and protect consumers, the environment, and natural resources.
That was a proper squeeze. Representative McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And thank you all. Please be seated. I appreciate you standing for this resolution. I wanted to just highlight one part of our incredible agricultural system here, and the fact that we have this Colorado Proud program. And I love the name Colorado Proud for our agricultural industry and all the products that we produce, because we really can be incredibly proud of our state and this industry. And we're all here to support that industry now and into the future, as important it is going to be to feed more and more people, and to make sure that we protect our land resources and our water resources so we can continue to get that job done. The Colorado Proud program for over 20 years has been encouraging consumers across our state and country to seek out and purchase these products that have this label on it. And it's really come to be known as something that is preferable when seeking to buy products. The Colorado Proud program represents farmers and ranchers, food manufacturers, grocers, restaurants, retailers, schools, and associations statewide. And the program helps to educate more than 150,000 Colorado kids about local agriculture and healthy eating through its annual Colorado Proud School Meal Day. I think there should be more than one Colorado Proud School Meal Day, but knowing that there is one to at least highlight our important food systems and healthy foods. So thank you for your support of this resolution.
Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you heard when it was read, 98% of the farms are owned by small businesses and farms and men and women that are out there toiling every day. You know, when we stop and think about how many people a farmer can support, it says in the resolution that in the 60s, they fed a few. Today, we are feeding 165 people for everybody that's involved in agriculture. That's a heavy load, an important load. And those farms and those people that are being supplied that food depend upon us. They depend upon us to make rules, regulations, laws that will help produce food for this country. We see on television today that we're expecting a very, very bad shortage of food, something you and I have never considered in our lives. My parents didn't ever consider a shortage of food. But today we are being prepared for that. But here in Colorado, we have farms and ranches that are outproducing themselves. We need to be at their side. We need to be the people that are saying, yes, we will help agriculture in the state of Colorado. Yes, we will pass laws that will make Colorado ag continue to be the foundation stone of this community and of this state. Something you and I don't think about. We spend 8% of our income for food. In the 1950s, they spent 12 to 15%. We are gaining. We are doing better all the time. Yet out of those dollars that are spent for food, 14 cents come back to the farm and the ranch that produced it. Dwindling returns back to these ag operations is what's worrying most ag today. We look like we're headed for the perfect storm. The price of fuel, the availability of fertilizer, seed that can be produced. All of these things are coming at us at the same time. We don't think about it when we're in that grocery store that's got everything I've ever thought I might ever want to buy. But there's a day coming that it may not be there. With that warning, you and I should be thinking about what are we going to do about agriculture in the state of Colorado. There's not much you and I can do about agriculture in Kansas or in Utah or Wyoming or New Mexico, but we can do something here. And that's to open our ears and sit down and listen and talk to the people that are producing the food. You know, those of you who are not involved in agriculture, you get some benefit out of agriculture that we don't ever really talk about. Agriculture generates an incredible amount of wild space for animals. We create the wetlands that we're trying so hard to protect. Irrigated agriculture created those wetlands. If it weren't for irrigated agriculture, there'd be very, very few acres of wetlands in the state of Colorado. Maybe along the streams and creeks, but that would be it. Otherwise, those non-huntables and the small huntables would not have a place to be. In my life, I've created wetlands so that kids someday, if they want to chase a frog or catch a snake, will be able to do that out of something that we created because we were piping laterals in Uncompahgre Valley. I don't want to get a lot carried away here today because I know it's Friday. I know that you'd like to get home as much as I would. But I want you to remember that those people that are at the edge of town quietly doing their job every day, And I mean every day, 7 days a week. They're out there. They're doing this job, they're innovative, they're leaders in their communities, and they want and will continue to be resilient in their dedication to the prosperity of this state and to the communities that they support. We need to think about agriculture more often than we do at the restaurant, just deciding what entree we're going to order. The idea that you can buy Colorado Proud, brought up by my co-prime, is very, very important. Look for that label. You know, there used to be an old commercial. Look for the Union label. Instead, look for the Colorado label. It will never let you down. Our country is stronger and more resilient than any country in the world, and one of the reasons for that is American agriculture. Ag production is a big part of our security, and it's a big part of our foreign policy. People look to us when they are hungry. People depend upon us when they are hungry. Remember that when we bring ag bills in front of the House. The world depends upon what we are doing. You know, we think about Colorado not being that big a producer in the world's economy, but we're in there at the top 10. Be proud of that. Be Colorado proud of Colorado agriculture. This is something that matters to me. I guess you can probably tell by the tone of voice, but I want you to all know Colorado agriculture is thankful that this House of Representatives does listen to ag. We've come to you with a number of different things and have asked for your support, and we have gotten it. Please, let's keep that spirit of cooperation open and welcome in the House of Representatives and in the General Assembly of the Colorado Legislature. We are a team. Ag and legislators can take this country forward. Thank you very much for your time. I think there's some other folks that would like to make some comments.
Thank you, Representative McCormick and Representative Catlin. Representative Soper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It was a real struggle being able to get down here. And then I realized, what was I thinking? I really shouldn't be speaking after Representative Catlin. He eloquently talked about the importance of Colorado agriculture. And I too want to come down and also echo my sentiments and my support for Colorado agriculture as we declare March 24th Colorado Agriculture Day. And as we wind up the celebration of Colorado Ag Week, one thing I want all of you to think about is, why do we meet this time of year as a General Assembly? Why do we meet from the middle of January to the middle of May? It's because in Colorado's early days, we were mostly an agrarian economy, farmers and ranchers. And so the members of the General Assembly who came before us, they needed to be able to get back home to till the soil, to start irrigating their crops. And we've evolved as a state. There's only a few in the entire General Assembly that make their livelihood from growing crops. I certainly would like to highlight a few of our colleagues. A few from the Eastern Plains, Representative Holtorf, Representative Pelton, Representative Catlin. Thank you so much for being in agriculture and for growing crops and food security. Agriculture is still our largest economy in Colorado, although tourism is fast encroaching on that position. We may think that agriculture is stuck in some bygone era, but I want to remind the members that agriculture, like any other industry, is a fast, innovative sector in the economy as well. An anecdote, my cousins were the ones that continued the ranching side of our family. And when a cousin who's my age went off to college, he stayed at CSU, he came back, and I'll never forget, his grandparents said, you know, our yield all of a sudden doubled from a simple education. It was a change in watering practices. It was a change in crop rotation. It was some differences in fertilizer. But all of this is innovation and technology that's constantly improving. And I do want to salute the good work of CSU, and that CSU has continued the mission to help the next generation of farmers. But I do have a real fear. The average farmer in Colorado is over 55 years old, approaching 60. Individuals like myself chose not to go into farming. Instead, I chose to go into a different direction, into law. And I'm not alone. There's many others around Colorado who've taken these same steps, and the next generation, I worry, might not be there. And as we see policy before us and we're thinking about the future of Colorado and the future of agriculture, we also need to be thinking about what is out there to encourage the future farmer in Colorado. What does the future of Colorado agriculture look like? And I believe a lot does continue to be on the innovation side, the ability to work more, for example, in hydroponics and greenhouses, the ability to grow crops year-round for food security in case of future pandemics or war. I think that Colorado definitely has an obligation to the nation because we provide some of the best agricultural products in the world right here. And we know this because nations like Taiwan have specifically requested Colorado beef because of its high quality. I want to do all we can to encourage that next generation to go into farming, to go into ranching. It's hard work. It's not a job. It's not a profession. It's a life. But it's a life that makes Colorado stronger. It makes Colorado independent, and it helps provide us with food security for both our state and our nation. And members, I hope you'll leave this chamber today, and I hope over the weekend, if you see a farmer and a rancher, walk up to them, surprise them, give them a giant hug, and say, thank you. We appreciate our farmers and ranchers here in Colorado. Thank you.
Representative Pilton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just had to come up here. Most of you all have seen this map. House District 65 has 7 counties in it. All 7 are in the top 20 of counties for ag output. 5 of them are in the top 7. There's not hardly a single county that doesn't have some sort of ag output. The Pelton family has been in agriculture basically since it came to America. I'm 3rd generation Cheyenne County, Colorado farmer, rancher. I still run registered Angus cows. As Representative Soper mentioned earlier, when I started driving tractor when I was 8 years old, that's all we did. We drove tractor and we put some seed in the ground and then we harvested it. Now, farmers are bankers, chemists, IT people, geneticists, you name it. It's a very complicated business anymore. It's not just going out and just living off the land. To stay competitive, you have to get with the program. So, House District 65, the Eastern Plains, all of Colorado is dependent on agriculture, and I'm proud to be in that supply chain. And it's a great way to raise families. It's a great way to support towns. So, thank you for this resolution, and I'm 100% behind ag.
Thank you, Representative Pelton. Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to give a shout out to everybody that came to the Logan County Cattlewoman's Steak Fry last night. And I'm also going to do something that I usually don't do. I'm going to give a shout out to Governor Polis, who was there last night and ate a juicy Northeast Colorado steak with the cattlewomen of Logan County and some of us that raise cattle. He was closing the rural-urban divide last night, and I witnessed it with my own eyes. And I was so proud of him, I came up and shook his hand and said, Governor, thank you for taking those steps to walk across this wide gap and close the distance as we all work for agriculture during Ag Week. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for that opportunity to thank those in the urban centers that are truly sincere, that come together and tell others how important agriculture is. And I yield to the Vice Chair of the Ag Committee, Representative Catlin.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I ask for a voice vote?
Is there any further discussion on the Senate Joint Resolution 009? Seeing none, is there objection to a voice vote? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 9. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Joint Resolution 9 is adopted. Representative Catlin.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the current roll call of the House be added as co-sponsors of Senate Resolution 009.
Seeing no objection, this morning's roll call will be added as co-sponsors to Senate Joint Resolution 9.
Thank you.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House stand in recess until later today.
I think let's, yeah, we'll just lay over and then we'll go to announcements and introductions.
Okay. Actually, I move to lay over the balance of the calendar
Until
Monday, March 28th.
seeing no objection, the balance of the calendar will be laid over until Monday, March 28th. That brings us to announcements and introductions. I have one quick announcement. Representative Lindsay will replace Representative Sirota on Public and Behavioral Health and Human Services Committee for today only. Representative Michelson-Janae.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Public and Behavioral Health and Human Services, we will meet at, I was going to say 11 a.m. We're going to meet at 11 a.m., so that's in 7 minutes. So if you could please make your way downstairs, I would be very grateful. We have a presentation and 2 bills to hear, and we're going to be here for a long time, so come quickly.
Representative Judah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I would just like to recognize former State Representative Debbie Stafford, who's in the chamber today. She represented Aurora, and now she is with the Aurora Mental Health Center, who will be opening a new building in my district. So thank you for your service.
Great to see you, Representative Stafford. Representative Young.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to recognize the school group who joined us today from Frontier Academy. It includes Greenheart Exchange students, Darina from Ukraine, Samuel from Czech Republic, Delilah from France, and we have 2 host siblings, Andy and Ian. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Representative Young. Representative Luck.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I don't know if you recognize, but today is the 73rd day of the 73rd session. That's pretty exciting, I think. Anyways, just wanted to wish you all a wonderful weekend. Remember that no matter what anyone else says, you all are loved, amazing, worthy, and adored.
Thank you, Representative Luck. It is the 73rd day of the 73rd General Assembly. That is a cool thing. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was, in a rush to get us all on our way to our next adventures. So with that, I ask that the House stand in I move that the House stand in recess until later today.
Seeing no objection, the House will stand in recess until later today.